who we've got in the kitchen. We got Ben in the kitchen. Well, he's always in the bloody kitchen.
I'm now at the Crafty Nihilist headquarters for the first time ever, and it's really good to be here. We're going to the Glastonbury Symposium, but the Crafties have invited me to stay with them before we go, so we can travel there together. And you know what? It's great to be here. We're having a lovely discussion about: would you rather take the blue pill? Would you be a Cypher and take the blue pill? And of course, Cypher made the decision that he did. He did want to go back, and he did a deal with the Men in Black, the what they call the agents.
Yeah,
Smith
Agent Smith.
Yeah, to go back. The question is, would you do that? I mean, I think most people, including me, would say no. But do I envy normies? Yes, I envy them sometimes.
Yeah.
I envy them for not having to put up with the kind of the hostility. The fact that they go with the flow, whereas we go against it, and it's hard work going against it. You know, your own family give you strange looks and things like that. You know, just to sit around talking. You know, depending on who you are. I mean, to be in a hospital portrait, you know, if you just sit around talking about football all day in the social club, it's so much easier.
And thinking there's nothing else to worry about.
Exactly.
But can you think of the time before? Was there ever a time in your life when you didn't know when you hadn't the time before you took the red pill?
There's never been a time in my life when I felt like a normie that I fitted in.
Yeah, normie.
Normie? No, exactly. It's very often it does go back. Some people have this like awakening, like David Icke did. They have this Kundalini moment in their late 30s or something. Even when I was a little kid, I know this because my reading habits and my watching habits. I used to like Arthur C. Clarke's Mysterious World. I used to get books on UFOs and ghosts even back then, and I used to take an interest in it. So even as long ago as that, I had I think I wasn't quite right, and I couldn't put my finger on it. I couldn't articulate it, and I made efforts to suppress that element of myself for a long time, especially in my childhood. So no, there's never been a time before I've been what I'm like now. So it's quite unusual, I know, compared to a lot.
No, I've never felt like I fitted in, but I can remember when I started red pilling. It was kind of around the time of the 9/11. It wasn't because of 9/11, but it was round about that time. And I didn't feel easy about the war. And then there was the fake election in America. And then I just started, weirdly, I think it was because I stopped watching the news because I was traumatised by it in the 90s. Something about Rwanda, I was really traumatised, so I stopped watching the news.
That's horrible, that, yeah, Rwanda genocide.
So after a few years, I hadn't watched the news, so I feel like I unplugged myself from the Matrix by not plugging into the news. Yeah. And so I think I was more receptive to and then the internet came along. So I think because I wasn't interested in the news and that sort of politics, because I didn't trust it and I found it traumatizing, that there was nothing else to do but look down rabbit holes, and I was more receptive to it, I think, because I'd unplugged.
It's true. Look, that can be the first stage. In fact, surveys show a lot of people have just stopped watching the news now because all it does is it gives you a list. I mean, I think Adam Curtis put it very well. You know, these things just pass like waves of a fever, and the only response people can say is, "Oh dear!" Nothing seems to make sense. All it does is breed misery and demoralisation. So people stop watching the news. That's understandable, but that can be the first stage. It doesn't have to be sort of nihilistic escapism. It can be the first stage to an awakening.
Just doing that one thing.
Yeah, I know people who are so much on our wavelength, right? And literally just 2 years ago, they said they were complete normies.
Really?
And they've gone through a massive
Since
shift.
COVID 1984.
Yeah, the good old cerveza sickness, as Trevor calls it, has been a major catalyst in people's lives. It really has been a massive...
So you met people that have literally... We've only met...
I've met people literally who the C word did wake them up, yeah. Totally and utterly from normality. I've known many people like that who live in completely normal lives before then. So
we've obviously watched nearly every single one of your videos 15 times.
That's cool.
Right from the beginning.
That's a real achievement.
Yeah.
That was just one day.
Yeah. Honest to God, I'm not even lying here, Ben, because I just find you really relaxing, your voice really relaxing, and Yeah.
And now you've got a live show.
I've got the real thing here. I don't know how much he charges.
And it doesn't even cost you anything. And
Oh, that's
I'm not
right,
signing
that's right.
autographs.
You're just
I've got your autograph in book.
Oh, yeah.
You're going to be the other side of the wall, Ben. So you're just going to have to speak quietly through the wall so that Liz can doze off to sleep in a relaxing.
No, it's either you or Tony Topping that gets me off to sleep. Mark's
good
got
old
used to
Tony.
it now.
I'm glad you added the last bit to that sentence.
No,
old
there's
Tony.
many a night me, Mark, Ben, and Tony Topping have snoozed together.
But that's
No,
another story.
The thing is, Andy, nobody learned. That's my Tony impression. I want to meet Tony. I love him.
Tony's great.
I really want to meet him.
I've not seen him for a while.
I'm a Tony fan.
No, he's a great guy.
What was I going to say? So yeah, we have watched you from the very beginning. We've watched them all. There's a decided difference to at the beginning, Ben, to now, Ben. I'll tell you the one that we noticed that the most on. Where was Ben going? And we said you were not cynical, but maybe you were a little bit more sceptical, right? In what one did we notice that in?
Was it the one you went? It was some sort of cult that you'd been to.
Ah, yes.
That was a great
That was
video.
a video
then,
called
Ben.
New Age. I went to this was before I started doing Hapanwo. I did go a few times to the Brahma Kumaris Centre.
That was
which
it.
Is it's the global headquarters of this organisation is actually quite close to where I live. It's quite easy for me to get to. It's an old stately home called Harcourt Manor, and I went there on the suggestion of one of my pseudo friends. This is somebody I thought of as a friend who said they're my friend, but their conduct was the exact opposite. But in those days, I was a bit stupid, and I kept them in my life. But this person said, "Oh, let's go to Brahma Kumaris. It's wonderful. You go to meditations and things like that." And so I went along to it. But as I explained in the video, it's all love and light, and it's all they all wear white clothes and things like that.
Do you know what I say when I see that? I say I want to put a red sock in their laundry. That's what I always
Maybe a saffron robe. So
you get on my wick.
They are. I did sense like it was just a little bit too treacly, It's like it was all too sickly sweet. A lot of the New Agers like this. It's very unbalanced. A lot of the people say, well, there's too much masculine energy unbalanced in the mainstream. This is maybe an excess of feminine energy.
Goddess.
Yeah.
Too much goddess.
Yeah, and it's all they drift around like Tolkienian elves and meditating and things like this. And
Get home and have a fucking McDonald's.
What is suspicious as well is that I wonder where the money's coming from, because if you look at Harcourt Manor, it's a big place. It used to belong to Rothmans Tobacco.
It's a really interesting video. Go and watch it, everybody. It was years ago on Ben's channel.
It's actually a very nice place. Thanks. Yeah, please do. Thank you, Liz. And the inside is very well kept. It's all very well. The carpet is clean and well hoovered, and everything. The windows are clean. You go in the garden. The garden is very well looked after. Obviously, they have
Somebody's thrown money at it.
a number of full-time gardeners. There's a large, several acres of ground. There's a chapel. There's a boathouse by the river. It's a lovely place. But you go in there. You can actually go on like an evening retreat for free, and it includes a meal of what looks like sort of like alfalfa and peanuts. It's like,
We're literally just waiting for him to cook our burger in the van down the road.
That's what I call food. Yeah, but despite the fact that it is just this very, very thin, meager sort of veggie vegan kind of like grass-like material, it still should cost something.
Yeah.
So, but you get it for nothing.
Yeah.
Now you can go for an all-day retreat or even for a week-long retreat, but even those are incredibly cheap. It's just like the all-day
Somebody's
retreat is like
throwing
about
money
£11, and like the week-long one is like £100 or something, and that includes full-time tuition. So you think, where's the money coming from? And apparently they're very close to the United Nations, Brahma Kumaris.
Oh, shut up.
And this includes things like the Lucis Trust.
Yeah.
And of course this is I don't have to repeat all the stuff that G. Edward Griffin discovered. G. Edward
You
Griffin.
can if you want, man.
Right. There's a book called Our Fearful Master by G. Edward Griffin about the United Nations, about the role it plays, how it's designed to be a world government. This includes the replacement of existing spiritual practice with a fake, contrived spirituality.
Mark Windows.
Or fake, yeah. Mark's good with things like that, yeah. So so I made this video about it because I broke away from it. I realised there was something wrong with it. It's funny enough, around the same time, this pseudo friend of mine, I had a massive row with her and told her basically to get out of my life. And and I never saw her again. So good.
There's a different vibe back then, Ben, and it's all, was that a time before you got into kind of the UFO thing? Were you sort of like just sucking and seeing what sort of fitted with you?
At that time, that was sort of the early 90s. I had a burgeoning interest in the ufological world, paranormal world. As I said, this is something that's always been a part of my life from when I was a child. However, I think I said that off camera earlier, but basically I've always been like a bit strange. But I mean, in the early 90s,
that's why we get on with you.
Exactly, yeah. But I mean, firstly in 1991, I read the book, the introduction to the Reed Party I did on my channel, the Doomsday Conspiracy. Funnily, I've got it with me. I've got a copy with me today. Funny enough, I've been reading it again because, of course, I'm doing a Reed Party for it. I read that. That was very influential on me. I read that in about 1991. Since then, I was kind of like, I was sort of looking into the Roswell I discovered and things like that. But it wasn't like a major stream of my life. I was also very interested in New Age stuff. I went to a couple of New Age events. Well, usually with this pseudo friend of mine. This is a woman who we were never a couple. We didn't date, but we were like close. I say close pseudo friends because she was actually really, despite the fact she was very, very hippie, she was actually a very negative person. She was a very two-faced person. I was in those days. I wasn't the kind of person who would just tell someone to spot that person come in and keep away from them. I am now, but so I was looking at all kinds of things, and these sort of things sort of solidified later on because I got into the moon landing hoax. I got into David Icke. Sort of by the late 90s, I was really, really far down the rabbit hole. What happened then? It was actually then I got onto internet forums in the early 2000s. I was active on the internet forums. But I wasn't producing any of my own content. What really gave me a wake-up call was something that happened in 2005. This is the instant where my daughter came home from school, my 10-year-old daughter, and told me that the school wanted to take her fingerprints. And suddenly I thought, oh my God. Up till then, it had been kind of like a curiosity for me. Almost a form of entertainment.
Yeah, I call it conspiraporn.
Yeah, it would have been like that. Just almost something I was just sort of like, I say almost like a bit of fun.
Yeah.
Then suddenly
it comes into your life.
It's thrust right into my own life. My own child.
Yeah.
My own child is being targeted in this way. Well, you can imagine what I said. I mean, I've written articles and I've talked about it.
You said, please.
I wrote to the school and said, you're not to do this on any account. And and then I did my first radio interview. I've got the name of the channel now. But then I suddenly realised I had to become active, and I started Hapanmo. And that's when I started the first Hapanmo blog. It's led to the Hapanmo TV, radio, etc.
And until recently, I would say that I've been, up until COVID 1984, it's been conspiraporn for me because I didn't watch the telly. I didn't really get on with television shows. I wasn't into any of that. But my entertainment was reading about FEMA camps and, terrifying things like that. But I never thought it would happen in my lifetime. And I can remember in lockdown, do you remember at the very beginning, it was all sunny. It was all very sunny.
Yes,
we just
nice weather, didn't we?
Sat out in the garden. Yeah, and it was just like a really nice sunny extended Christmas. And then my world came crashing down. And it was almost like, oh my God, my fun, my entertainment has become real.
Yeah. It's like a movie. It's like a nasty movie, because people like horror movies and thrillers and things. They're fun because they're not real, aren't they? They're fun because they're not real.
And suddenly you're in the movie.
Yeah, you're in the movie.
But it wasn't supposed to happen when me and my kids were alive.
Yeah.
And I can remember sitting out in the garden. I can literally remember it because I've been in and out watching Thomas Sheridan, in and out, and I can really remember my paradigm just shattering and just thinking, fucking hell, it's actually happening. And so I really pushed into Thomas Sheridan's the magical stuff, the magical workings, and Thomas's book Sorcery, because I felt so out of control in the world. I felt really helpless that I started pushing in and thought, right, I need to work on inside then. And that really fucking helped. Starting to do my own, little bits of magic or whatever you want to call it. And
you have to look after yourself, don't you?
Yeah, that's what happened.
Yeah, never let anyone guilt trip you into thinking you can't have a bit of me time and you can't take care of yourself, because you have to.
And that's the only bit you can really control.
It's the only thing. Yeah, it's the only. It's if just as Michael Jackson said, I'm starting with a man in the mirror. Work on yourself before you work on others. But also, I had a similar thing because it was a bit earlier than you, but I was like, I started getting to David Icke in about 2000, and David was saying, this is not the distant future. This will happen in the lifetimes of most people alive.
I didn't believe him.
If you're under 60 years old, this is going to happen in your lifetime.
I didn't believe him.
And I didn't either. I even though I was interested in what he had to say, I thought, we're looking at the distant future here. But then suddenly, firstly 2016 happens, and I thought, it was at the back of my mind thinking, there's going to be some kind of backlash to this.
Yeah,
I remember you saying some kind of retaliation.
I remember. So when you say for people that don't know what you mean, Ben, when you talk about 2016,
2016 was when basically the control system of the Illuminati fell apart, and for just about 6 months they completely lost control of the political structures of the world. And we know that because 3 things happened that really the establishment didn't want. One was Brexit, one was Jeremy Corbyn becoming leader of the opposition, and one was Donald Trump becoming US president. Whatever you think of those individuals, you may love them or hate them. They're those men attending those positions, was not part of the plan. And I thought to myself, is this the end of the New World Order? I thought, no, there's going to be some kind of retaliatory strike. And in 2020 there was, and we know what that was. And I was actually on a show with Thomas Barden-Rees, and I said to him, Thomas, you realise this is their 2016, what they're doing to us now. And he says, yeah, he understood that. Yeah, definitely.
So what now, Ben? What have we got to keep? What would your advice be? How do we stay sane in this mad world?
Firstly, don't lose hope. What the bad guys are doing right now is they want to demoralise you. They're going along with Sun Tzu in The Art of War. Appear strong when you are weak.
Yeah, that's really good.
So they're trying to make out they are strong right now.
That's really good.
If you notice, they're working on our psychology right now. They're really focusing on our senses. You see it on the TV. The TV's getting worse. Movies are getting worse. All the woke shit you got on the
Barbie.
media. Yeah,
Barbie and the bomb.
It's all about making people feel guilty or hatred, either hatred of themselves or hatred of the other. Everything is about, and the way they're rushing to get this electronic currency through the world. The digital currencies, they want to come in. The CBDC, they're trying to rush it in. This new WorldCoin ball thing.
Lochnar.
This thing Jason Burmas.
It looks like you know in Lord of the Rings, those balls that they've got to hide. Yeah. It looks like that, and you've got to look into it. It takes your biometrics. You prove you're human before we give you your free money.
Yeah.
Look up Jason Burmas, Lochnar.
And you see
WorldCoin.
Saruman saying.
That's what.
Saruman, we don't know where all the seeing stones are. These
it is like a seeing stone.
It's horrible because you look into this thing. You get a biometric database, then suddenly it all appears on you. Oh look, I've got one on my phone. Oh, I'm so happy. Yes, it'll be on your microchip under your skin.
Let's have a look at.
That's my little.
There he is.
Yeah, that's Russell, my pet alien, of course.
Sometimes he's gone.
You've got to have fun in this world. You've got to have fun in this world. You do.
So keep hope, have fun. And what is it? Thomas says, "Feck them if they can't take a joke."
Exactly. Yes.
Yeah.
And you know what? You've got to look after yourself. Like we're going to the Glastonbury Symposium. Go to conferences and things like that.
Meet like-minded people.
Stick with like-minded people. Make friends. Make networks. You'll know what to do when the time is right. You don't have to. You don't let anyone push you into any kind of activism or action you don't want to do. You, like I said, just stick with people. Work on yourself. You read the road. Play it by ear. I feel despite everything, I feel optimistic. I feel hopeful. I think you can see almost the desperation in the minds of the bad guys. Of course, they're not going to come out and admit they're in trouble. They're going to act like they aren't. They're going to try. They're now trying to break us down.
What was that Art of War thing, Ben?
Sun Tzu. He was a Chinese philosopher. He wrote something called The Art of War. This was over 1500. I think it was 1500 BC. He wrote this. Very old text. And it says, appear weak when you're strong and strong when you're weak to fool your enemy. You see, that's what they're doing.
That's what's going on now.
Still works even all these years later, yeah. But
awesome.
I want to say thanks to the Crafty Nihilists for inviting me to their little headquarters here. And we've had a great hearing day. I'll say more about the hearing later because that's quite something. But we're going to the Glastonbury Symposium, so stick around. Are you doing your repertoire, you guys?
Yeah, well, we don't like to call it that because yours puts us to shame because we can't be asked to take notes. So we just go, there was this bloke called John on, he was talking about bowls.
Well,
Whereas
you can
Ben
remember a
takes
lot,
notes.
you can
I
remember
might
a
just steal your notes and just.
if you like. I mean, you can. I'll
Or
write them
Ben,
down,
when
yeah.
you're doing your reportage, I might just stand behind you and video you.
If you want, yeah, if you want.
So Mark's gone down to get us our burgers. Good
Oh,
man.
no, we're going to have some
good
proper
man.
food. Yeah, we'll
Yeah.
have some proper food. No, we're not.
We're
going
not
to eat
eating the bugs.
We're not eating the bugs.
You nearly did in Isle of Man.
I did.
Bloody hell.
One went down my. Well, luckily it went down my throat, not into my lungs.
That was
and
it. They were all over your phone when
Yeah,
you
I
were
mean, I was-
talking about it.
I mean,
Why is
that's-
there so many flies
I
over
think
there?
that could be a good sign of a good, healthy ecosystem on the Isle of Man. But,
Is there a lot of
it's
death
very
or something?
annoying.
Because
I did suck one in.
flies come
and
out of
I
maggots,
swallowed it,
don't
yeah. I ate the bugs, but I was not happy. In fact, I put my. You see in the video, I put my.
oh, it was
to
horrible.
stop myself sucking any more in. Yeah.
Right, if
But anyway.
nobody knows who I'm talking to, it's Ben J.R. Porter.
I'm Ben Emily Jones, Ben the JR Porter.
Do your thing, Ben.
Hospital Porters Against the New World Order, right? Oh, yeah. Hospital Porters Pride and Dignity Stop the New World Order. Go to hpanwo.com.
Go and do it.
Hospital Porters Against the New World Order, and you'll see all about me. Don't forget to read Roswell Rising, a novel of disclosure.
Well, we've got all three of them out
Yep,
now.
and yeah, they've got very good taste these in reading these two. Yeah, and so please do check that out. And I want to say, check out, subscribe to the Crafty Nihilist, subscribe to Ben the JR Porter, which is my YouTube channel.
Yes. All right, thanks, Ben.
Yeah. You're welcome.